The flood in Borno State is one that was predicted but not prevented. And now many more states, predictions have it, will be faced with a flood because of the changing rain patterns. Over time, the environmental governance structure has been put to test, with Nigeria being a signatory to the climate change protocols and many other environmental principles. How is the country keeping up with these documents and agreements it entered into? And with the loss of lives and property we're witnessing, what are the steps to mitigate it? We'll be answering these questions and more in the course of the Policy with Leah. And it's nice to have you join me on this environmental episode. We start off from the trends table.
The Acting Director General of the Pension Commission, PENCOM, Ms. Omolola Oloworaron, has attributed the pension reforms to the inefficiencies of the defined benefit scheme and instituted a sustainable pension system for Nigeria. She was speaking at the annual conference of the Pension Correspondents Association of Nigeria, PENCAN, in Abuja, alongside other stakeholders.
I can tell you without any hesitation that all the challenges that can be listed out in regards to the implementation of the contributory pension scheme, there are inbuilt mechanisms to ensure that those challenges are reversed.
Now, pensioners will sit comfortably at the corner of their household or in their neighborhood to confirm their lifelines and for them to continue to enjoy their pension. So the issue of stress and burdens has been removed from the pensioners.
We have worked diligently and has always been a priority to ensure the welfare of our personnel even after they leave the active service and we're taken care of.
My charge to PENCAN members today is we want to see more news, more information, more investigative journalism, more dynamism, more innovation, because people need to know what the industry is doing.
The conference was themed 20 Years of Pension Reform Act, Gains, Challenges and Prospects. The implementation of the Contributory Pension Scheme CPS was heralded by the enactment of the Pension Reform Act of 2004, which transformed pension administration in Nigeria. A total sum of 1.203 trillion naira from the August 2024 Federation Accounts revenue was shared to the federal government, states and local government councils at the September 2024 meeting of the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee (FAC) in Abuja. The amount comprised of distributable statutory revenue of 186.636 billion naira, distributable value-added tax (VAT), revenue of 533.895 billion naira, electronic money transfer levy (EMTL), revenue of 15.017 billion naira, and exchange difference revenue of 468.245 billion naira. A communique issued by the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee (FAC) indicated that the total revenue of 2.278 trillion naira was available in the month of August 2024, with cost of collection amounting to 81.975 billion naira, with total transfers, interventions and refund was 992.617 billion naira. The Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, OAGF, has reiterated the federal government's determination to maintain and operate a secure and efficient personnel and payroll system. This followed some safety concerns, but the OAGF maintained that the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System (IPPIS) database has not been compromised, insisting that employees' personal data on the IPPIS database is safe and secured. The OAGF, which manages the IPPIS and other financial management initiatives of the federal government, said it is already implementing its ICT security policies that aims to ensure that its digital assets are secured in line with global best practices. Nigeria's headline inflation rate decreased to 32.15% in August 2024, the second consecutive monthly decline, according to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS). According to the Consumer Price Index (CPI) report, the figure represents a decrease of 1.25% from July's 33.4%. But on a year-on-year basis, inflation rose by 6.35 percentage points compared to the 25.80% recorded in August 2023. The NBS attributed the decline to a marginal ease in prices for food and non-alcoholic beverages.
So today our focus is on environmental policy, and Mr. Umar Saleh Anka is an enthusiastic professional dedicated to advancing environmental sustainability and social well-being through research, advocacy, and practical interventions. His expertise in environmental management and climate change policy is diverse and has made substantial contributions, of course, in that regard, both locally and internationally. It is nice to have you, Mr. Anka, on the Policy with Leah.
Thank you, Leah.
Perhaps we start by looking at the Borno flood. Is that climate change related, or it was caused by other factors?
Of course, whenever we hear any natural disaster, it has two, of course, causative agents. Naturally, disasters are meant to happen in the world, but they have their own causes, the natural causes, and the larger scale is caused by human beings, which of course is practically as a result of our actions or inactions. So whichever way, we either contributed positively or negatively to the environment. So, but this time around, when you look at issue of Borno State, you can link it to so many factors. One, there are infrastructural decay, even though the governor is trying his best. Why I say that is because the carrying capacity of the population in the city, of course, you should expect, because of the insecurity, a number of people left their villages, towns, and just moved to the city. So of course, there's going to be a pressure on the infrastructure in the area. So of course, the issue of waste management is one serious factor that contributed a lot towards these drainage blockages. So whenever there's an overflow from any source, of course you expect it doesn't get a smoother or slower, faster movement as it's supposed to be because of the blockages. And for planning, if you could recall, the governor of Borno has battled with those making makeshift and other squatter settlements which are unplanned. In fact, he was part of the people that went and I think made the destruction by himself. So you can see those building on drainage and waterways, of course, is largely one of the factors. And of course, Maiduguri has suffered that because if you look at the history from 1960 to date, that Lake Chad has shrunk to almost less than 30% remaining of its original size. So you should expect so many things to happen. There are a lot of blockages along the waterways, right from Kano River down to Ongru wetland. So all those factors are contributing because the water flowing is supposed to go to Lake Chad. So because of those smaller dams that people are constructing along the water flow canals that are supposed to be there. So I think it has contributed a lot. If you look at Hadeja Onguru wetland, there are always issue of flood in Jigawa State, for example, and Yobe State. So you know that a lot of things are bound to happen there.
Okay, so if I may cut you in on this pressure now and the human activities, if you're going to give a look from your expert eyes, and now if you're going to look at this issue critically, because basically Borno is not the only state, just that the Borno own has been exacerbated by many factors. Are we as a country paying attention to environmental issues as we are supposed to?
Yes, everybody talks about environment, government talks about environment, Leah talks about environment. But how do we look at the environment? Let's start with environmental budget. Whenever you go by the history, let's say from 10 years back to date, and assess the federal government budget on environment and state environmental agencies or ministries, how much are they allocating to the environment? If they allocate that to the environment, how much is being released for the environment? It's not about even the budget. Yes, you can have a smaller budget, but useful. The realistic budget. You can have a big budget that is not realistic. Even if there's enough money on the environmental budget, which there is none, there are no much money on environmental budget. If there are releases, those releases, you know, environment, everyone is a stakeholder. What me and you are doing, I think we are playing our own part. So you need to get support to educate people in your own shop. Maybe when you take a proposal to a state governor, he may see you as maybe a scammer because you will say you will create education, but people need to be educated. They need to know why they should take care of their environment. It's not only about waste, it's not only about planting trees, but there are more to that. So once your environmental budget is good, and your health budget will also as well go low. Your health budget will go low because the centrifugal force that will be holding us around is environment. Once everything, we got it right in the environment, the health issue, the psychological issue, in fact, even in terms of having the good economic environment, it has to do, you can see what happened in Maiduguri now. Shops were submerged with sugar, with cement, you see, so there are economic loss. So there should be a mitigation measure even before you adapt. Of course, there are things that you have to adapt, but you can mitigate before it occurs.
What is the role of the citizen now in addressing these concerns? Because citizens are the ones dumping waste. Citizens are the ones building on waterways. Citizens are the ones carrying out some of these activities that are affecting these kinds of infrastructure like what we saw in Maiduguri. What is the role of the citizen?
Well, yeah, of course, citizens need to know that the days are gone that government should do everything for them. Even if government is going to evacuate your waste that you block the drainage with, you have to go to a dumping site. But the problem is, are there dumping sites? The role of citizens in protecting environment is that they should make sure that they dispose their waste properly. They don't cut down trees indiscriminately, although there are energy poverty. But of course, you don't have to cut down the whole tree. You can cut the branches. You need to plant more trees within yourself. There are ethically things that you know when you do it. Like, let me give you an example. Women, maybe classical ones or educated ones, will feel it's a show when they are traveling and they want to dispose Pampers, they will just do it while on the way and throw it. So that's indiscipline. You should understand. So I think there are a lot of things that people should do by themselves before government could do it. Government can build a drainage, but construct a drainage, but people may decide to fill it with sand or any other thing, just for them to make a bridge that they will use motorcycle to cross. So I think there are a lot of indiscriminate things that we are doing within ourselves that we need to, like you're saying, the policy. Of course, there are strong policies. There should be strong policies and action plans. Those action plans should include the stick and carrots that if you offend or commit anything out of the ethical way, you should be punished. So, and government need to recruit more.
Why do we have to wait for disasters to happen and then we begin to run all over the place, and then the rescue or the mechanism to address these disasters oftentimes look like they're not there?
Like, Leah, let's look at, let's x-ray our states. Of course, federal government, national government has policy, has action plan. But Leah, go and research, you are doing policy. How many states in Nigeria has a climate change policy? When you have a policy, do you have an action plan? When you have an action plan, are you working based on the agreed plan? Because it's a time bound. So most of the states doesn't even have policies. And if they have environmental policies that are obsolete. A polluter may decide to do it because the fine is just 100 naira or 1,000 naira, where he can pollute the environment for as much as 1 billion naira worth value. When you look at the ecosystem services, the ecosystem he distorted, he can be charged to court and pay a fine of 2,000 naira. And what he did is worth more than 1 billion naira. So there are a lot of things that needs to be put in place. They need to know that there is a need for policy. And the policy, there should be an action plan. And that action plan should be devoid of politics. It should be followed strictly. When area A is supposed to be affected, it should be affected. There should be planning. There should be building codes. You understand? That if you look at most of our new areas, that new developed areas that young guys and of course upcoming going, everybody wants a new house. But you see that there are no plans, and government would be looking at you not until when you the quarters is even overpopulated, then they would want to come and create drainage and other things which cannot work. Government is not paying enough to the civil servants. So there are issues of corruption. There are issues of I don't care attitude. So many things that needs to be looked at. You need to research and know, like before when it's end of the month, our parents or grandparents would stay like trying to put things together. But today, on the sanitation day, everybody has his own special pass, this one and that. In fact, we cannot even wait for those 3 hours or so in our houses to even clean the environment. So there's no, I think politics and a lot of other factors has contributed towards the decay in our moral path, that we don't even have time. We are too busy doing nothing. Struggling, yes, for survival, of course, but we need time to have a clean environment. When you don't have the rice in your home, then you should have a clean environment, at least.
Okay, talking about the clean environment now and the other issues that you have thrown to the fore, the question now will be, what are those steps that Nigeria urgently needs to take? I'm asking this question because already there's forecast of rains for days across multiple states with predictions of floods in a number of towns and cities. What are those steps Nigeria needs to take urgently?
Okay, Leah, in urgent situation like this, you cannot say go and construct a larger, of course, drainage. One fundamental thing is for government to tell people, educate people on the impending danger ahead, that run out of danger. You cannot tell people to stock their stores because they don't even have money. So provide subsidies that people can say, okay, let's say in my community, and you have an alternative place for me to go and stay if in case of emergency, but make sure that I have food, I have all that's required. Women need pads. They cannot even buy pads. They need mattress, not even the mattress, mats, but they cannot afford. Go and see what's happening in Maiduguri. It's a rainy season. So, of course, every state has disaster management agency. What are they doing? It may not be their fault because they are not funded. They are just a nomenclature probably to get funding from foreign agencies or what have you. Because in a situation whereby someone lost his house and you are giving him 3 sheets of corrugated rupee sheet or a bag of cement, and you are recording me, what am I going to do with it? So we should be honest and realistic in doing what we're doing, because it should have a holistic approach, not just celebration, not politics. We should be humane in our dealings. We should just put ourselves in their shoes. There are things that we just see it as and feel it's just passive. It's just the usual flood. It's just the usual refugee camp. It's just the usual support. But it should go beyond that. Because we don't have any other country like Nigeria. We don't have any state like our own state. And we don't have any other government like the governments that they begged people to vote for them. So they should make budget for the citizen. It should be a citizen-centered budget. Even if there's a supplementary budget, they should quickly do a supplementary budget. Avoid issue of saying BBN, NIN before I could get food to buy, even with my money. So I think there are better ways. We should go community. We should start bottom-up approach. There are good people in the communities that can support. They know the vulnerable ones. And definitely, if you work with them, definitely it will reach out to them. We should stop being sentimental and sectional, regional. That will not help us. Let's talk about human beings. Do it and God will pay. Ultimately, everyone is going back, wants to go and enter heaven. How would you? Because what you were able to assist people with is what will appease your mind. But people forget, they are always eager for even the floods to happen. Some would be waiting for it to happen so that they will have their fortune for the year. They are living at the expense of others when they suffer, and then they will prosper, which is not supposed to be like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That I must sincerely thank you, Mr. Saleh, for giving all these insights and for sharing your time with us. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you.
My name is Maiduguri.
Keep watching the Policy with Leah.
It aims to provide policymakers an opportunity to explain their policies in a way that members of the public affected by those policies can understand and engage with those policies.
Keep watching the Policy with Leah.
We move on to our education segment, Simplify This, and from there we head to the market. The much we can take on this episode. Do well to log on to our sister website, www.marketnigeria.tv. We have all other market details here for you. And don't forget, the Policy With Leah is available on YouTube at our channel. It is Saban Media Services. Do well to subscribe, leave your feedback because we value them to help us serve you better. Until we come your way again, same time next week. Be safe out there. And I say God bless Nigeria.